Sitch, the lights above Ridge Valley, some discoveries. Change everything. What you're about to hear happened 3 weeks ago in Ridge Valley, Montana. A place so remote, most maps don't bother including it. Population, 847. Notable features, none. Until October 23rd, Sarah Chin wasn't looking for anything extraordinary that night. A wildlife photographer by trade, she'd driven 8 hours into the Montana wilderness chasing reports of a rare owl migration. Her campsite sat on a ridge overlooking 30 miles of untouched forest. At 11:47 p.m., she was reviewing the day's shots on her camera when the sky changed. At first, I thought it was a plane, Sarah would later say in the only interview she gave before disappearing. But planes don't move like that. 3 lights, bright as welding torches. They moved in perfect synchronization, forming a triangle, then a straight line, then breaking apart in movements that defied physics. No sound, no contrails, just movement that shouldn't be possible. Sarah grabbed her camera. Professional instinct. Her finger pressed the shutter button again and again, the motor drive whirring in the darkness. Then the lights stopped. For exactly 7 seconds, they hung motionless in the sky. Sarah held her breath. The world held its breath. They fell. Not like objects falling, but like someone had simply turned off the physics, keeping them aloft. Sarah's camera captured the trajectory. Due east. Maybe 15 miles away. Behind Coldwater Ridge. The impact wasn't loud. It should have been deafening. Instead, it was a low-frequency pulse that Sarah felt in her chest more than heard. Then, nothing. The wind returned. The normal sounds of night resumed as if someone had pressed play on the world. I knew I had to go look, Sarah's voice, recorded on her phone later that night. I knew it was crazy, but I also knew. I'd just seen something that wasn't supposed to exist. Sarah didn't sleep that night. At first light, she packed her gear and started driving. The logging roads in this region hadn't been maintained in years, but her truck could handle it. She had coordinates. She had direction. She had evidence. What she didn't have was any idea what she was about to find. 2 hours into the forest, on foot, Sarah found the first anomaly. The trees were dead. Not dying. Dead. In a perfectly circular pattern, roughly 200 feet in diameter. Every tree had been stripped of bark. The wood underneath was smooth, almost polished. The needles and leaves that should have carpeted the forest floor were gone. Just bare earth, hard-packed and gray. It was like someone had erased the color from the world, Sarah whispered into her voice recorder. Everything was muted. Wrong. At the center of the circle, Sarah found the trench. Something had dragged through the soil here. Something massive. The trench was 15 feet wide and carved 8 feet deep into bedrock. It ran straight as an arrow for 50 feet, then simply ended. But that's not what made Sarah's blood run cold. At the end of the trench, partially buried, was a piece of metal the size of a car door. The surface was covered in symbols. Not letters. Not numbers. Geometric patterns that seemed to shift when you looked at them directly. Sarah photographed everything. The symbols. The metal. The pattern of disturbance in the soil. She used a rock to chip off a small piece of the metal. It was surprisingly light, almost hollow, and sealed it in a plastic bag. That's when she heard them. They came from everywhere. Sarah's voice, recorded 20 minutes later as she ran through the forest. Black helicopters. No markings. At least 5 of them. I ran. God, I ran. Sarah made it back to her truck and drove. She didn't stop driving until she reached Billings, 3 hours away. In a coffee shop parking lot, hands still shaking, she uploaded everything to a cloud server. The photos. The recordings. The coordinates. Then she made a mistake. She posted 3 photos to a UFO research forum. Within an hour, the post had 10,000 views. Within 2 hours, it was trending on social media. Within 3 hours, the post was deleted. Not by Sarah. By someone else. But the internet never forgets. Sarah's phone rang at 2:17 p.m. Unknown number. Miss Chun. A man's voice, calm and professional. My name is Agent Whitmore. I'm with the Department of Defense. We need to talk about what you found this morning. How did you? We know where you are, Sarah. We know what you saw. We know what you took. And we need that material back. For national security purposes. What was it? Sarah asked. What crashed out there? A pause. Too long. Weather balloon. Experimental satellite debris. The radiation is dangerous. We're containing the site. That's not what I saw. Miss Chen, this is a matter of... Sarah drove again. This time east, toward Wyoming. She called her sister in Seattle and told her where to find the backed up files if anything happened. She called a journalist she'd worked with on wildlife stories and told him to look for the name Coldwater Ridge incident. Then she checked into a motel outside Sheridan using cash. At 11:42 p.m., Sarah began reviewing all the footage from her camera, every frame from that night, looking for details she might have missed. In photo number 247, taken during the light's descent, she found something. In the periphery of the frame, barely visible, was another object. Not one of the three bright lights. Something else. Dark. Angular. Following the lights down. A fourth craft. But this one wasn't glowing. This one was matte black and shaped like nothing human engineers had ever designed. Sarah zoomed in further, her hands trembling as she adjusted the exposure, brought up the shadows. The craft's surface was covered in the same symbols she'd found on the metal fragment. But there was something else. Something that made her heart stop. On the hull of the craft, stenciled in white paint, barely visible. U.S. Air Force. Oh my God, she whispered to the empty room. They were chasing it. What Sarah had witnessed wasn't first contact. It was an intercept. The three lights weren't visiting Earth. They were trying to leave. And something with USAF markings was bringing them down. The next morning, Sarah drove to a library and spent 6 hours researching. Deep web searches. Freedom of Information Act requests. Declassified military documents. She found patterns. Coldwater Ridge, Montana. Groom Lake, Nevada. Pine Gap, Australia. Rendlesham Forest, UK. All sites of reported UFO incidents. All sites with unusual military activity. All sites where, if you dug deep enough into satellite imagery, you could find the same thing. Unusual ground disturbances, sudden changes in terrain, construction projects that appeared overnight. And all sites where, in the weeks following reported incidents, electromagnetic activity spiked to levels that scientists couldn't explain. Sarah found something else too. A pattern of witnesses going silent. Not dead. Just quiet. Relocated. Jobs with defense contractors. Sudden wealth. Or complete disappearances from public record. Her phone had been ringing all day. 16 missed calls from unknown numbers. Then, at 4:47 p.m., a text message. The coffee shop in Billings. Check the news. The headline made Sarah's stomach drop. The coffee shop where she'd first uploaded the files had burned to the ground 3 hours after she'd left. The official cause, gas leak. The timing, impossibly convenient. Someone was at her door. Sarah grabbed her laptop, her camera, the metal fragment. She moved to the bathroom window, pushed it open, climbed through. Behind her, she heard the motel room door burst open. Sarah Chun hasn't been seen since that night. Her sister received the files from the cloud server before they were remotely deleted. Some of those files have leaked online. Most are dismissed as hoaxes. But 3 things remain unexplained. 1. The metal fragment Sarah collected has been analyzed by 3 independent labs. Its composition includes elements in isotopic ratios that don't naturally occur on Earth. One lab stated the metal could not have been produced by any known manufacturing process. 2. The 4th craft in Sarah's photo, the one with USAF markings, appears in 17 other UFO photographs taken over the last 40 years. Different locations. Different dates. Same craft. 3. Current satellite imagery of the Coldwater Ridge site shows a permanent military installation that didn't exist 4 weeks ago. The area is now classified. No-fly zone. Guarded 24/7. Sarah's last message, sent to her sister at 2:34 a.m. the night she disappeared. They're not hiding aliens from us. They're hiding what they've been doing with them. The crashes aren't accidents. They're harvests. We've been reverse engineering this technology for decades, but we've been doing something else too. Something worse. I found the logs. The dates match. Every major technological leap in the last 70 years, transistors, fiber optics, stealth technology, quantum computing, they all came right after reported crash retrievals. We didn't develop this technology. We stole it. And now I know why they keep coming back. They're not visiting. They're searching. And we've been shooting them down to keep them from finding. The message ends there. 2 days ago, seismologists detected an unusual low-frequency signal emanating from deep underground at 17 locations across the globe, including Coldwater Ridge. The signal repeats every 27 hours. When converted to binary and run through linguistic analysis software, it contains structured information. It might be a message. It might be a countdown. Sarah Chen's camera was found abandoned at a rest stop in Wyoming. Inside the camera's memory card was one final image, taken with a timer. Sarah, holding a piece of paper with coordinates written on it. Her expression isn't fear. It's determination. The coordinates point to a location in Utah. No town nearby. No roads. Just empty desert. And, according to satellite imagery, fresh excavation. Recent. Very recent. Some discoveries change everything.